Hello. Okay. It's going to take some time to get used to these links from the Mara. They happen so quickly. And we're on Battlier Road at the moment, and there's lots of leopard tracks going up and down here, but apparently they're from this morning. So Tandy must have been very busy, which leads me to much confusion because I did not see these tracks firsthand this morning, and I just keep seeing leopard tracks going in all sorts of different directions, and I don't actually have any clue who they belong to. It's a problem when you don't do a drive. You feel so confused in the afternoon. You feel like you haven't driven for weeks and weeks on end. So we're just checking around here. We're not really having much luck at all, unfortunately. Right, let me turn this game drive radio off. We don't need to have it on. They're all talking absolute nonsense. Right, let's see. I don't know where we're going to go from here, in fact. I think maybe we're going to start checking towards the new road, down in those areas, because there doesn't seem to be much happening here at all. I think we'll go past Twin Dams though, have a quick look around there, maybe see if that painted snipe is in that little pan just south of Twin Dams, and who knows, maybe there's a leopard sitting waiting for us, a baboon pan. Highly doubt it though, but maybe I will be proven wrong this afternoon, and then we'll just bumble. That's all we can really do until the animals decide to show themselves to us. We haven't had any birds just yet, barring a couple of turtle doves and a few more crested franklins here and there. Another quiet day out in the sands. Now still, Max, you're wondering why we call it the bush and not the jungle? Well, because we have no jungle here. There's not one area that you'd be able to call a jungle. Even up in the north, there's not even really forested areas. So it's fairly open. This is the savanna woodland biome that we've got going on over here. So we just use the word bush. I suppose we call, instead of saying shrubs, a lot of South Africans call shrubs bushes, and that's just how it is. So it just describes the vegetation that's out here, and this is the low veld or the bush veld that you get out in this area. So it's just describing the small little shrubs and trees that we get around here. But it seems as though Tristan is having lots of luck with elephants at Chitwa Dam, so let's go watch them swim.
We are, Taylor, we are having the best afternoon with them. We had to battle a few gremlins, and it seems as though we found the magic spot where we can watch them having a full-on tussle in the water. It is the most beautiful thing to watch at this time of the day, because you've got that perfect light on them, and the three of them have been absolute clowns. They've been playing around, pushing one another, climbing on the backs of each other, and it's just been all-out fun, and it looks as though you just want to go and join them. Although that water must be a little bit on the cold side. I don't know what happened to our other two. They seem to be a little bit shy and have moved off. But these are the remaining three that are still here, and they are still having the best time ever. And I'm hoping that they will come a little bit closer than where they are now. Even at the moment, they are a little bit far on the eastern side, and there's some guests that are on that side of the lodge, so we can't go any further than where we are now. So hopefully they will come out in front of us. They often do that. They start on this eastern side of the dam and slowly work their way westwards, and then get out where we saw those other two males just now. It's a common way that they do move around, and I can't tell you how often I used to sit at Chitwa Dam and we used to see this happening, and it's amazing. Sometimes you'll get whole big herds that are over 30-40 elephants, and they all come and they start playing like this, particularly the young males. The young males seem to really enjoy spending time in the water itself. I see one looks as though he's departing now. Andy, you're asking if there are hippos in the water, how would they react to the elephants? Well, Andy, there are hippos. They're all over the place, but mostly on our sort of western side of where we are. So we're here, and then the hippos are just on our western side behind the little island there. And there's actually one that Craig's found. And basically what they do is they just get out of the way of the elephants. They're not too concerned about being sort of pushed around. And so as soon as the elephants come along, they know the elephants are bigger, and they'll just slowly move out the way. I think I would do the same if I was a hippo. I wouldn't want to be in the way of that as it comes steamrolling through the water. You'll also find that once the Ellies are in deep water, they don't move that fast, and so the hippos just kind of separate and move around them a little bit. I have seen some big male hippos trying to give the Ellies a bit of a show, and they show their teeth and try and intimidate the elephants a little bit, but it really isn't a fair fight at all. At the end of the day, an elephant bull of this size is weighing almost double what a hippo bull is weighing, and so there's no contest when it comes to size and out here in Africa, size always matters, and so you have to give way to big elephants when they're swimming and playing like this. And the hippos, that's probably why they're all on the western side of the dam, is because the elephants have made such a big mess on this eastern side and have played around all over the place that they've pushed these hippos a little bit further to the west, and the hippos have sought some sort of sanctity and solitude on that side and away from the hustle and bustle of these two that are playing. Isn't it amazing to watch them in the water? And like I say, the light at this time of the day is perfect. Vicky, you were asking if the elephants tend to stay with the same herd. Well, Vicky, in the case that we have here, this is all young males that we've seen this afternoon. So it's been 5 different males that we've got, and they will have come down to this area just because of the water. They're not really socially attached in any way. They won't spend vast majority of time together. Remember, when a young male reaches around 13, 14, 15 years old, he's cast aside by the herd. He's been pushed out by the matriarchal females, and he's left to go and live a life on his own. And you'll find he'll then move around, and every now and then he'll join up with other young males like what we see here, and they'll move around together and learn the ropes. And there's often a big bull that accompanies younger males like this, and they are then known, the younger males are then known as askaris, which is actually a term that's come from East Africa, from where Scott is, and it basically just means guys, these younger boys that are learning to be big males, and they will then join up and they learn for a while, and then they break off on their own. So there's quite a loose social structure between the males. If it was a female herd, then yes, the females stay part of that herd pretty much throughout their life, unless there's environmental changes that dictate that they have to separate. So if we have times of drought and they're really struggling to find food, sometimes the herds will break apart, so as their impact is not as much. Or if you've got times where you've got lots of rain and lots of weather, there's so much vegetation everywhere, they don't actually move around too much together. They can break off into smaller sections as the herd gets more successful, and then when it starts to get a little drier, then you'll find they'll come back together again. So if it's females, and then yes. If it's males, generally no, they don't stay with their same herd. They move around all over the place. And we'll find once these guys are finished with their swim, they are going to start moving out and up and start feeding, and they'll probably separate. We can already see the third one has disappeared, and so it's just these two that are left. Adele, you're wondering if the elephants, like people, have friend groups within their sort of social structure, so ones that they spend more time with than others. No, not really, Adele. It's not friends as much as it's family. So in nature, and particularly in elephant herds, family is the biggest bond that they can have. And you'll find within an elephant grouping, a female and her offspring will be a section of the herd, and you'll find the young ones will play around a little bit, but if there's any disturbance in that herd or any sort of grief or anything like that, they'll all go straight to their siblings and to their mother. So that's how it works within the herds. They don't really have a friendship group. It's more that they'll have a family structure, and you'll often see it when they feed, is that the herd, let's say it's a herd of 40, 50 elephants, they'll split apart, and you'll find small groupings of 4 or 5, which is generally the mother and all her offspring that feed, and then as soon as they start moving, they all come back together again. So it's, like I say, more family than it is friends. And typical when young boys are playing, it gets to a point where it's time to catch your breath a little bit before it carries on. And there we go. Now we've caught our breath, it's time to start pushing one another around again. And it's amazing to see how many elephants we've seen swimming in the last few weeks. I'm sure it's got to do with the fact that our temperatures during the day have been a little bit warmer than normal. We don't quite have those cold temperatures, and the warmer winter is probably pushing these Ellies to have really good time in the afternoons in the water, because I'm sitting here now and it's actually very pleasant and warm, particularly with the sun on us, and so it makes it perfect for a good swim. Susan, elephants will trumpet generally when there is some sort of a threat that they are trying to now assert themselves over and to try and ward that threat off. Or leopard, you'll find an elephant will come in and trumpet to try and show both visibly and with its audio that it's upset and it wants it to go away. So you'll find that they generally trumpet when they're upset. You'll sometimes going on if there's a second, sometimes they trumpet, but it's generally they'll use vocalize of a different. The trumpet is called.
Hello everyone, and Shame. It's a pity Tristan's signal was a bit blinky and shaky there, but what an epic sighting of those elephants. I was worried when I linked across earlier. I said you're about to see one of the most wonderful things you can see in Africa, and it was the elephant walking out of the water and not swimming. So I'm glad they went back in and are playing around. What an awesome scene. And like Tristan says, quite interesting that, I need to turn that off, quite interesting that they're swimming in winter. But it sounds like it's been quite warm then. We've even been looking at the Djuma guides, seeing the clothes that they're wearing, knowing how cold it can be, and being awfully surprised that they are not wearing much warmer gear. It seems like the Agama lions have disappeared into the Laga, or riverbed. The cars have dispersed away from that area, or at least quite a few of them have, or tried to reposition. This is the mountain cam that we are using. I'm zooming out away from where the Agamas were last seen, and they like to spend time down in this valley. We've actually been very fortunate. They don't move a huge deal, or at least haven't been since we've been here, and that's probably because they've got 13 little cubs. Isn't that wonderful? We get to play in as far as the eye can see, basically. And then also, this is the northern edge of the triangle and the reserve. The triangle is this side of the thick green belt of forest that you can see in the center of your screen, and the Masai Mara Reserve is on the eastern side of that. Let me actually see if I can zoom you into Musiara Gate. I think that's it there. Whoa. So that is the one guard gate that leads you into the Mara Reserve. That's where I go when I head to look for those 5 cheetah, but they usually spend time further to the south, to the right, where it's a little bit hazy and blurry. These are the Paradise Plains that we are scrolling through now, or panning across rather, and it's somewhere down there where these 5 cheetah that I've been so lucky to spend time with hang out. We are going to spend a lot more time with them. They are incredibly awesome creatures. Hello to Nikki. You are wondering what the common tree is that we can see dotted across the plains in the Mara below us, and they are a kind of balanites called the Egyptian date. And let me zoom in on one. And it's one of the big reasons why the Masai Mara has its name. And Mara means spotted, and it's all these spotted balanites trees that give it the reason for its name. Another one is also the shade and shadows from the clouds that can be speckled across the plain. So there we go. They kind of are quite acacia-like looking trees from a distance. I would have guessed that these would be acacias if I didn't in fact know that they were the balanites. And they provide fruit to the elephants. Brent got a really cool picture of one using its foot to kind of push one. I've managed to see one also in this grove of trees. Actually, I was looking for the lions, and an elephant actually, I think, pushed this specific tree over there. Gave it a good old head rub, some fruits fell down from it, and it fed on those quite happily. So that could be related to their behavior in Djuma with the marula tree. Elephants will do the same thing. Another one of my favorite things to watch in the African wilderness is elephants shaking fruits from their trees. Marvelous. Now, I'm going to suggest that we switch over to Main North. We are going to drop down into the river that flows through that forest that you can see in the center of your screen, or at least you could. And here are some hippopotamuses. They appear to be getting ready for their evening out, grazing on grass. They're all beginning to huff and puff, sending billows of spray into the air. A beautiful scene if we can get it backlit from this setting afternoon sun. The sun will probably set in about 25-30 minutes behind the Olololo escarpment behind us. And from the wallowing hippopotamus, we are gratefully going to be sending you back to Tristan and his elephants, who are still splishing and splashing.
Well, these Ellies are still playing, and I do apologize for our gremlins that are creeping in. It's unfortunately where we are at Chitwa Dam, we're right in the middle, and it sometimes is like this, so hopefully they will stay away. I've moved slightly, and it seems to really work when it comes to the gremlins. If you move all of half a meter, they seem to drop off for some reason, so hopefully they will stay away. But these two are still having a whale of a time, and you can see now where they're wet is starting to pick up that gold color. As the sun is starting to set, there's this golden light that will be cast across Chitwa Dam, and it's getting to the best time of the day for them to swim, and hopefully they'll continue to swim as that sun really gets low, because the dam itself, the water becomes a rich gold color, and because they're wet, they pick up all of that light, and they themselves become this dark gold, and it really is absolutely beautiful to see. So hopefully they'll carry on. Other than that, we have Boris. I see Boris is sitting just on the side here. He's just having a little nap. So there's Boris. Now Chloe, who's 6 years old, all the way from Singapore. Hello, Chloe. You want to know not about Boris the crocodile, but you want to know about our Ellies, and you want to know how I tell male and female apart in the water like this. Well, Chloe, the thing about males, the easiest way to tell that they are males is by looking at their forehead. So you see their foreheads there? They have a rounded forehead, whereas a female elephant, it will have a very, very squared off forehead. So it will almost look like the corner of a wall on their forehead, as opposed to these males that have this sort of rounded shape like that. So that's how I know. Also, the tusks of the male tend to be thicker than the females, and we don't see any presence of little babies here. When we see female herds, there'll always be young infants around, and so that's how we know, even in the water, that these are males, because if there were boys having girls around, they would have little babies with them, and the babies would be around the edge before coming out. Talking about just now that the foreheads are different, I'm talking about this area here, Chloe, and so on the male it makes that shape, which is very round, but on the female the shape is like that, where the head ends. So that's the easiest way to tell between male and female of an elephant when they're swimming. Now the boys themselves also are a little bit larger. It would be a really big female to be that size, so we know that those are both boys just because of the size of them. Isn't this wonderful just to watch them playing? Jeffa, who's 23 years old, Jeffa, you're wondering what percentage of males end up breeding with the females in the herd. Well, Jeffa, there's two parts to this. Firstly, males don't stay with herds, so they only come into a herd when there's a female that's actually in an estrus cycle, and you'll find different males from all over will come until the biggest male and the strongest male, who physically can outcompete the others, will take over and will actually mate with her. So there isn't a percentage of males that lives within the herd that is then vying for a possibility to mate. They live by themselves and only come to the herd when the females are in heat. In terms of the percentage of males that will actually mate with a female, in terms of the population, the percentage must be, I would say, maybe not even 10% of the elephant bull population will end up mating in a given area, because remember that only the biggest and the strongest will mate, and at the end of the day elephants roam massive distances, and so you'll find a lot of the big boys will go quite far to mate with females. And so I would say probably, maybe not 10%, that's a bit low, maybe 20% of the bull population will actually be breeding effectively and heavily, and then you'll find that maybe at certain times of the year as well will affect the breeding potential of certain bulls, because as there's more resources. Oh, there's a fish eagle coming across the dam. It's going to fly between us and the elephants. There it comes. I wonder if it's going to land up on this dead tree. There we go. Oh, well done, Craigie. Very good. Has it got a fish there? Does it? I think it might have something. It looked as though it was something flapping on its feet. No, it's being dive bombed by lapwings though. Look at the lapwings coming in. There we go. And you see the lapwings are trying to chase it away. They know the fish eagle is a predator, and so they're trying to keep it away from, potentially if there's little chicks there, they're trying to chase that fish eagle. We know the fish eagle does grab birds. We've seen it grabbing the buffalo weavers that are in the nest behind us, and so it is potentially why the lapwings are going at it. Maybe this fish eagle has gone after their chicks before, and you can see it's being dive bombed by all angles at the moment, and it won't stop. Those lapwings will keep going until the fish eagle flies away. You can see the fish eagle's not enjoying this at all. Head is ducked down, and it must be quite unpleasant to have lapwings dive bombing you all the time. And while they're sitting like that, it's got no ability to outmaneuver the lapwing. The lapwing is a smaller bird. There we go. You see, they've done what they needed to do, and they've actually chased that fish eagle away. Once the fish eagle gets to the other side of the dam, the lapwings will stop, and they'll go and land back where they were and be happy that they've chased said fish eagle away. It doesn't have a kill though. I thought it might have a kill, but it doesn't. When it was flying away there, I could see quite clearly that there was no sign of any fish in its talons. But that was very cool to watch. Just a water mean that you can't be intimidated by smaller and more numbers. So that's the big thing out here. Sometimes it's a game of numbers versus size, and that's why things like lions are able to hunt elephants like this, or buffalo, and wild dogs are able to bring down quite large prey animals for their size. It's because they're able to utilize numbers to be able to effectively intimidate or kill other animals. In this case, it was intimidation. It was not killing that the lapwings were trying to do, and I would say they did it pretty effectively. Our fish eagle looks far more content on that dead tree than it did on the other one. Like I say, when you're being dive bombed, it's not actually the best thing. Now our Ellies, I think, have decided that's it. They look as though they're starting to now move away, and they're following the same sort of track that the other elephant that was with them earlier followed. They both walked, well, that elephant walked out in that direction, so I think maybe, just maybe, they might be starting to head out and away from the dam. It is getting a little bit late in the afternoon, so maybe it's time to go and have a little feed. Nope. No, it seems like they might still carry on. One in particular wants to carry on, and so we're going to sit here and see whether these bulls decide to leave or if they're going to stay. And while we do that, let's go back to Taylor and see. Hopefully she's had some luck with those mysterious leopards around Central.
We didn't, and I was going to show you a white-crowned shrike, but it flew away as I stopped. Let's see, maybe we can have a look at the starling if it stays up on the top of this marula tree for long enough. We haven't actually seen any more zebra for quite some time now. This is my luck today. Come on, animals, stop being mean. This is not fair now. So I don't know where we're going to go from here. Seb and I have been umming and ahhing as to which way to go. I think I might quickly just check Zoe's road, or actually, I think we must go and check on this other corner. I passed a convoy of cars on Gari Main from various lodges, so I was obviously thought, goodness gracious, what's so exciting? Where are you off to? I don't know what leopards they've got, but it sounds like there's some leopards in Vessel, so I wonder if it's maybe not Hosanna and Xongile around there. Wait, am I off air? I'm confused. What happened? Did they crash cut?
I don't know, I'm not sure.
And I don't understand. Did you crash cut away? Oh, I'm live. Sorry, very confused what just happened there. Anyways, let's carry on. So there's some leopards, I'm not sure which ones, in Vessel somewhere. But I think Tandi and Tamba are on the property. We just need to figure out where exactly they've gone. If they've made a kill in a thicket, it'll be quite difficult to find them, especially without any fresh tracks, because I just seem to be finding the old tracks today. So we'll just check Zoe's quickly, maybe do a lap around quarantine, see if there's anybody that's come back to the wide open plains behind camp. And then we might do a Mulwati drive, as well as jump onto Mamba and go back towards Cheetah line again. They are with Tingana at the moment, but he's on Tortured. He is on the move. I didn't exactly catch which direction he was going in, so if he's either going west or south, that would be fantastic. That would be really good for us, because it means that there'd be a chance for us to see him if he goes towards Chitwa. If he comes back west towards Djuma, even better, then we can race on over to the other side and try and pick up on him. Maybe we'll have some luck finding a steenbok, because there seem to be lots and lots of steenbok and Duiker around at the moment. That's just because the grass has dropped. so we can see a little bit better now. But we'll keep searching and hopefully we'll have some birds that will sit down on a branch for longer than a couple of seconds. Let's go back across to the man, the master of the river cams.
So it appears that it is a beautiful evening both in Djuma, judging by Taylor's and Tristan's feed, as well as here in the Mara. I thought I would try and give you a bit of a... And now I will untweak it to reveal a bit more light as I zoom out. A little bit too fast there. And that is cinematography at its best, folks. Beautiful. I've probably opened the iris up a bit too much now. That's why everything's blowing out. There we go. One little more tweak of the dial. That's a little bit better. Beautiful wispy clouds. Let's take a little cruise along the water's edge and see what we can find for you. So it appears the crossings have not been too busy today, but if we spend enough time manning these cameras, we are going to be able to involve you guys in some of the most epic nature or spectacles that one can see in nature, and that is the river crossings of the Masai Mara. The migration is still making its way up towards us. We'll still be seeing a lot more toing and froing of beasts across this river, and we have only just scraped the surface thus far. Now, is there a leopard lurking in any of these shady, hidden, concealed spots? Wouldn't that be an incredible thing to find, snooping around with these cams? Nothing there. Oh, the joystick seems a little bit temperamental. It sometimes continues to move you or move the camera even after I have let go, which sometimes catches me by surprise. It caught Kirsty by surprise earlier because she thought I was actually zooming on a camera and I'd left it completely unattended. It was just panning across on its own. Very, very good spot for leopards to be hiding out in all this thick vegetation. No joy though. Ah, well, I know Tristan intended on finding some spotted creatures for you as they headed out this afternoon. I can't remember who wanted to see guinea fowl and who wanted to see leopard, but the good news is Tristan has found one of those animals. Time will reveal what it is, hopefully, if he manages to banish the gremlins from his vehicle. Thanks again to all the compliments regarding my fancy camera work. I'm having a good time. Oh, here's a very cool little bird. This has been our first close-up customer today, so I'm looking forward to showing you the beauty of the three-banded plover. It's a tiny, tiny little bird, and I just love their markings and their bright red beak and legs. Quite muddy now, though. Whoa! Nearly lost it. Whoa! It's keeping me on my toes. Hello. You can ruffle up and relax there. Marvelous. I also love the way they jiggle their head from side to side, bobbing and weaving. What are you looking for up here? Some more little snacks. They feed on tiny little insects, and they can spindle those little legs of theirs very quickly. And they basically run after their prey. That's how they catch their prey. They run after it with an open beak and then whapow! They latch onto it. I always find it interesting how different birds feed. Some of them are incredibly skilled. Imagine having to catch your prey in your mouth. No hands or claws or talons to assist you like the lions have. Just incredible coordination. Hello, Bree. You'd like to know... Oh, I've just forgotten exactly what you'd like to know. How small exactly is that bird? It's about the size of a well-fed budgie, I would say. Most of you would know the size of a budgerigar, a very popular pet. And I would say it's that kind of a size. It doesn't have a long tail like a budgie and a slightly different body shape, but they're small. I mean, In terms of height off the ground, I would say no more than 12 to 13 centimeters when standing up. Always difficult, I guess, to gauge the size of a bird depending on what you're wanting, its height, its body size, but they are very, very small. Hello, hippopotamus. Just letting the water slowly ripple over your eyeballs. A little eyelid massage. There it's opened up its nostrils to take a breath. Let's see how long it holds its breath for. I'm counting in my head. There's actually a stopwatch here, so I'm keeping track now. It was on 19 seconds, or 18 hours, 1 minute and 19 seconds. Oh, it's just open again. So it didn't hold its breath for very long there, only about 10 seconds, I would say. They can hold their breath for up to 3 minutes on average. So they've got a good breath hold. I would love to be able to hold my breath for 3 minutes. It would allow for some magical snorkeling. I have yet to become a professional scuba diver, but it's something that I would like to do at some point. Okay, we're going to rush you off to some feathered friends down in South Africa with Taylor.
Finally, some birds that don't want to fly away from me. We've got a whole group of red-billed buffalo weavers, and I suspect that they are the ones that live between Vuyatela Dam as well as on all of the repeaters out here. Who do I need to link to? I can't link to myself, Megan.
Look at this, guys. Isn't this cool? We've got a red-billed hornbill that's caught a scorpion. And by the looks of it, it looks like Glabrifrons, which is one of the bigger scorpions that we get here. And look how it's maiming it. So what it does is it breaks the tail, tries to get rid of the telson, and then it will rip off the pincers and try and get rid of those weapons before it will then be able to eat said scorpion. Now, unfortunately, there's one of the guys has got to get somewhere because there is a little surprise. He's going to try go around for us. Hopefully our bird will stay where it is. No, it has stayed. Well done, Hornbill. Thank you very much, Peter. Peter's trying to get somewhere quite quickly, which, like I said, there is a surprise that is not too far away from here. But, well, this is just so cool. It's not something you're going to see every day, and it is amazes me how these hornbills are able to get such a big insect down. And you can see, look at the damage it's done with that beak already. It's already managed to break off bits and to get rid of the tail as well as the pincers, and soon that's going to be swallowed pretty much whole. Now, the other reason why I said I was rushing is because there is a leopard not even 100 meters from where I am, solely going northwards towards Gari Main. So I don't want to go too late. I'm just listening carefully, because if she crosses north, to find her again is going to be very difficult. So I'm hoping that our hornbill will finish up before our leopard crosses, and that timing will be absolutely perfect. No, well, there's a little piece that's going down. So you see, as it breaks off pieces, it will swallow those as well. But isn't this cool? That is very cool. I might be wrong on the actual idea of the scorpion itself. I'm just going to have a look with my binoculars. Now, one person who loves scorpions is Scott Dyson. And I remember when I was just starting out, I went on a drive with Scott when I was still learning. And at the start of the drive, and I'm not sure if Scott remembers this, but at the start of the drive, we ended up going and looking through a whole bunch of rocks. And eventually, we managed to find a scorpion that actually looks very similar to this one, which is a liver peas. And the liver peas he then put in his pocket, and we did our entire game drive with a scorpion inside Scott's front left pocket up against his chest. The scorpion didn't so much as move until we got to night, when then he could show the guests the scorpion with the luminous light, or the luminosity that it displays when a UV light is shone on them. So it was really quite cool, and I'll never forget that, because I remember the guests looking at Scott as though he was completely mad, and who drives around with a scorpion in their pocket? So I don't know if Scott remembers that day. And I actually even remember the exact place it was. It was just off the Sand River on the eastern side of Singita Lodge. So it was a nice little rocky outcrop that we had there, which was great for going on scorpion hunts. And I remember Scott being very fond of scorpions. Let's see if it goes down. No, there we go. No, still too much in the way of food. So I'm going to try and see if it's going to actually swallow this. I'm going to try the other way around. No. Going to have to break off that one pincer before it actually is small enough to get in. Very hot. You asking, is this an emperor scorpion? No, I don't know if it's called an emperor scorpion. It's a thick-tailed... It's not the thick-tailed burrowing scorpion. Now I'm getting myself confused, but it's not an emperor scorpion. Its original name, well, its scientific name is Apisticanthus liverpes, which is... I must just now try see if I can find the common name. This sometimes does happen when you've sort of looked at scientific names for scorpions, because they're much easier to ID during this using scientific names, because people tend to assign all kinds of names to scorpions, and it's easier with the scientific ones to follow who's well, who is who, should I say. So I'm just trying to pull up a chart that I've got somewhere that tells me about the different scorpion common names. I just can't remember where I've put it. It was on my phone. Oh, is it down? It doesn't look as though it's all the way down. No, there we go. And down it goes. Well done, Hornbill. That was cool. We've had some great bird behavior today, from scorpions being swallowed to fish eagles being dive bombed. It really is so cool. Now I'm going to try and find the common name for the scorpion that was just eaten, and while we do that, I believe Taylor has two of my favorite antelope, and they seem also the smallest antelope that we get here.
Not quite the smallest two. We've got a pair of Duiker, not Steenbok, sitting on a termite mound. We've got the male who's standing up, staring straight towards us, and then the female is the one that is sitting down. Now I always find it quite easy to get the two confused between male and female, because both species, although not both species, both sexes have a little mohawk of hair that stands up in the middle of their heads, so it's almost difficult to see that the one looking at us has actually got horns. Look at that, see that? It can be quite difficult. And that's actually a very nice close-up. You can see their beautiful big pre-orbital glands just below their eyes too, and that big black nose, which is very, very good for, of course, smelling out all sorts of things. Now, I've actually seen a lot of Duiker and Steenbok sitting up on termite mounds, and I think it's a very good spot, especially with a female. You can see, look how camouflaged she is. Just her head is sticking above the sort of chimneys, and then also a little bit of grass for a bit of covering. So that's a good spot. So she'll be able to spot anything that's coming her way. And you know, it's quite easy for something like a leopard to actually just walk straight past her and not even realize that the two of them are up there, if the male were to sit down as well. But they're not actually that small, these antelope, when you sort of see them out in the open, compared to a Steenbok that's a lot more dainty. They're quite robust, but not doing too much at all. See, they're basically exhibiting the freeze technique at the moment. They're looking at us. The male hasn't turned his attention away from us, not more for 1 second. And I think he's trying to figure out, do they know we're here? Have they stopped? Are they looking at something else? Because typically once they've been spotted, they will opt for running away. When you are that small, I think most of the smaller prey species do tend to flee rather than stand and fight. Because, well, if you come off second best to a leopard, that was your only chance at getting away. But I think it will be quite nice to hopefully see some young Duiker and young Steenboks. You know, it's something I haven't seen for quite some time. Look at that, that's so beautiful. Also in the golden light. Isn't that just amazing? So peaceful. Especially after you've just watched a hornbill eating a scorpion. Albert, you say that you always get Duiker and Steenbok confused. It is very easy. It's not the easiest thing, especially when you don't see these animals firsthand all the time. But I find the colouring of the Duiker, the common Duiker out here, is sort of more of a greyish brown colour, whereas the Steenbok is almost more orange, if you will. They've got a slight sort of reddish tinge to their coat. And like I said, they're just a lot smaller and finer. They've also got white underneath on the inside of their legs and under their belly, like you can see that colour change on the common Duiker. but just sort of much smaller in size. But maybe if we're lucky enough, we'll be able to find a steenbok. I think Tristan had a steenbok earlier today. We are seeing them more often now. This is our opportunities to spend time with these antelope. There's females getting up now. Off she goes. Now, Berry Hop, you're wondering if a Dik-dik is smaller than a Duiker. I've actually never seen a Dik-dik before, can you believe it? But yes, I think it's much smaller than a Duiker. Off this one goes as well. Oh, they're not hanging around. Like I said, I haven't had the opportunity to see a Dik-dik before. I actually don't know too much about them. I'll have to do a bit of research. They obviously got uncomfortable with us, and you see, it was the female that instigated it. She said, "Nah, I'm not happy with those folks sitting over there. They don't normally sit and watch us for that long. It's only because they don't give us the opportunity to. Maybe they thought we were sitting looking at a predator or something else, and they just thought they'd make a duck for it." Fair enough, fair enough. Duiker, I don't blame you for not wanting to hang around. Okay, now this is getting to the time where typically the cats should start moving, though it's been fairly chilly most of the day. I didn't think it was very warm. I had my little puffy jacket right from the beginning of drive. So now we need to try and figure out where we're going to go next. I think we'll do Pangolin Track, go past Chele Pan, have a little look at that watering hole, and then I think we're going to do our Mwati Drive and head along Mamba like I said we were going to do earlier. But I'm going to send you back across to the team in the Mara and see what other wonderful animals have come down to the river's edge.
Well, again, envious of Taylor's plans, as the area she's heading into is one of my favorites. A beautiful scene here from the Mara River with some golden glow and some hippopotamus frolicking below those rapids. I wonder how much longer it's going to take for the sun to set. Let's zoom out and give you a bit of a perspective. Beautiful. So the sun still has about 10-15 minutes or so. I miscalculated earlier. I said the sun was going to set far sooner than it actually was. It's still hanging up there with a reasonable amount of space before it dips below the Olololo escarpments. And now I'm going to retweak the iris to give us a bit more light as we now scan for some interesting critters. So, I heard you guys chatting to Taylor about Dik-dik and Duiker, and Taylor is in for a treat when she comes up to East Africa because Dik-dik are such cool little animals. There were quite a few in the area where I was working prior to coming here called Samburu, and there we had both the Kirk's Dik-dik and the Gunther's Dik-dik. Now the Gunther's Dik-dik is the biggest of the Dik-dik subspecies. I think there's 4 different subspecies: the Salts, the Gunthers, the Kirks, and one other that has escaped my filing cabinets. And they are considerably smaller than Duiker. I would say they're about 2/3 of the height, shoulder height of a Duiker. And they only get to about 6 kilos, whereas I think Duiker get up to about 8 to 10 kilos, so considerably smaller. And they've got these funky little noses that they can swivel from side to side. It's actually worth coming back into the studio so I can give you a bit of an idea. They've got this nose that they can literally point from side to side as they please. And I'll go side on. When they alarm call, it's a whistle-like noise that comes out of their nose. And you know, like those party whistles that you go, and they shoot out? Instead of it shooting straight out, it goes out, then 90 degrees down, then 90 degrees back, then another 90 degrees curling up against its chin. So quite interesting how they alarm call. I've got 1 or 2 pictures of them doing that. I must post them on Instagram or Facebook, and that way you'll be able to see what I mean. We had a pair of Dik-dik at the camp that were very, very relaxed and habituated. We named them Rosie and Thorn. And Lisa, you would like to know what my favorite antelope is. And for any of you who don't know me, you'll notice that I change my favorite animals on a daily basis. But today, my favorite antelope will be the bongo, which is a spiral-horned antelope, kind of similar looking to an Inyala, but in my opinion, far more impressive. They are huge. They are one of the largest spiral horned antelopes. They're very thick set, and they've got very distinctive bright white stripes. They've got quite a reddish coat, and they live in very, very thick jungle forested areas in and around East Africa. There's not many areas where you still get to see them in the wild. The Aberdares National Park is one place where I have spent time with the hope of seeing them, but I have yet to be so lucky. I have managed to see one or two in a rehabilitation center where they're trying to build up populations and then reintroduce them into the wilderness. But the bongo is my favorite for today, with the Dik-dik close behind, just because of Rosie and Thorn, who we became very close to up in Samburu. Now, you were chatting with Tristan earlier about scorpions. He told you about me carrying them around in my top pocket. It was just a short phase that I went through. It wasn't something that I've done for a long time. And it was basically when I was releasing scorpions from in and around the camp. If they get caught in people's room, I just pop them in my top pocket, take them out on drive, show the guests before I release it into a suitable habitat away from the camp environs. Now, Tristan has got some more info on the scorpion. He was looking for, I think, the common name for it. So why don't you go and hear what it is?
Well, I know that Scott would be quite fascinated by our scorpions. I remember spending a lot of time with him looking for scorpions. And, well, this is the scorpion that I was talking about earlier. So this is what I think the Hornbill was eating. So this is asper, which is another type of a pisticanthus we get here. Unfortunately, liver peas is not actually in the book, but they look very similar. Now, a pisticanthus asper spends more time in the trees, so you'll find it in loose bark or on particularly knob thorns. They really love to spend time in knob thorns, and if you drive around at night in the summer months, you can actually spot them just coming out of the knob thorns themselves. Now, liver peas will spend more time in the rocks than anywhere else, and you'll find that they have this sort of olive grey black body, these big pincers that come around, and these orangish legs, and that's why I thought it might be this one. It is the one that we do see as most common in this area, and I'm pretty sure that Hornbill has found it somewhere there. So that's the guy that I think it is, and it doesn't actually have a common name, so it's not known as an emperor scorpion. I don't find any information about an emperor scorpion anywhere here. Now, in terms of the other scorpions that we see, we know that this one is not dangerous just because of its pincers that we see. So you see massive big pincers, but quite a small narrow tail, which indicates that this scorpion relies heavily on its pincers to be able to catch and immobilize prey. The venom that it injects is not strong enough to be able to to kill that prey itself, so these help with keeping it subdued and being able to tear it apart. Now, the other one that we see a lot of in this area is this guy over here. Well, these two actually. There's two on this page that I can show you, but Vitatus is one that we see a lot, and particularly around where Brent and I live in Hoedspruit, there is a lot of them there, and it's called Europlectes vittatus. We see them a lot, and you see, look at the difference in the shape of this scorpion. Very small, narrow pincers, and a very sort of big, thick tail, and this is not even the thickest tail we get out of here. And these guys are mildly venomous, so if they got hold of you, you would be quite sore, but it wouldn't be life-threatening. Then we move on to a slightly worse one, which is this one on the left-hand page, called Olivaceous. And these guys are also very common. They don't get very big, but they also pack a punch. If you look at the size of their tail, we're now starting to get up in thickness, and this is a much thicker tail than what we saw on even Vittatus or on Asper. And then we get to the really big boys, which is the ones that are very, very dangerous, and that is this gentleman over here. Now, this is one that you would not be wanting to get stung, or it's not stung, envenomated by is the right way to say that, and this is called Parabuthus transvalicus. Now, we don't get many of them here. They do occur here, but more a little bit north of us in rocky areas, and you can see tiny pincers with this big enlarged tail. Their tail is absolutely massive in comparison to their body, and this guy can inject serious venom. It is potent. It can be sprayed as well, and I know somebody that was injected by one of these and that got envenomated, and he was in serious trouble. He spent a few days in hospital, and he's a large guy. He's about the same size as what I am, in fact maybe a little bit taller, and he was in serious pain. Now, somebody is calling me on the radio, so I want to try and quickly just chat to them. Now, Lisa, you say lots of different colors of the scorpions. Indeed, Lisa, they do have lots of different colors, and that's all to blend in the different environments, whether it be trees or rocks or certain substrates that they occur in. Go ahead, Ari. So I'm just quickly chatting. Right. Now, we're going to try and see if we can't get a sight of this leopard because apparently it's still lying south of the road, so I'm going to try and see if I can't get some sort of visual of it because it is just south of us. And while we do that, let's go across to Taylor McCurdy and see where she's going and whether or not she's had a change of luck this afternoon.
Not yet, but I think, Tristan, if you're getting luckier, maybe some of that luck will rub off onto us as well. We're on Mamba Road now, so we've done a bit of the Mulwati, but sadly no tracks of any leopards in the Mulwati. So I think we'll do the whole of Mamba and just check very carefully around here. And also listen out for any alarm calls or from birds, from squirrels, hopefully from something more reliable like a kudu. That'll make me get excited if I hear a kudu or an inyala barking. They typically don't like to tell stories like the squirrels sometimes do. So we'll have a look here, and then we might go. What about if we go check Gwen's old den and maybe see if our friend the Warthog is in there? I went there the other day. I think we had a look inside, and most of that whole chamber had actually been closed up. It didn't look like anything had been living in there for quite some time. Maybe some rodents and reptiles, but nothing too big. But that could have changed, as we know the rate at which warthogs and hyenas change their den sites. It's fairly frequent. So we might as well keep an eye out on things like that. I was really hoping for some elephants today, but no luck. Yeah, let's go cheetah cut line. We can always come back up Leadwood. We'll do that just now. But still no more tracks. Lots of things of the elephants. Elephants love it around here. I think they're feeding on the last bit of grass, or the last decent tasting grass. We might see some vultures. Apparently there's some vultures were sitting on some marula trees where a kill was stolen by hyenas. I don't know how old the carcass was, but the vultures seem to be hanging around. That would be quite nice to have a look at. And I don't know whereabouts on Cheetah Cut Line that was, because we did drive it earlier, right at the beginning. We didn't see them, we just saw them all up in the air, up in the sky, sort of flying around some thermals. I suppose we also should have a look at the sunset at some point, but Scott has beaten us to it, so let's go take a look at what it looks like from Kenya.
Well, a breathtaking scene here from the main south river cam. And wouldn't it be nice to know what spectacles will unfold along these banks this evening? There's a huge amount of activity that occurs along this river, and soon we'll be out and about again after dark, spending all-nighters out there with you guys along for the ride, and I'm looking forward to doing more of that. We've been very busy sorting out the technical side of things a lot of the time, so we haven't been spending as much time out in the field as we would like and as we are going to in the future. We have also needed to rest after the TV shows, which have been quite taxing on one's battery charging, because we've been out all night, and depending on what the animals you're spending time with are doing, it can be quite busy. Jean-Andre thankfully babysat me on Friday night. He let me sleep for a couple of hours. We were with 5 male cheetah, and they were full-bellied and fast asleep, but we have learned that they do move quite a lot after dark, a lot more than I would have ever anticipated them to. Very interesting question that has come through from Paula. Good to have you with us. You would like to know what my perfect drive would consist of. And I would like to start off by saying it would be a morning drive. I love the morning drives. Not that there's anything wrong with the evening drives. I just love the anticipation of going out first thing in the morning, not knowing what you are going to stumble upon, not knowing what signs are going to be out there to read into. So I do love morning safaris. The perfect safari would incorporate some kind of predator versus prey interaction. Now, I don't necessarily always support the predator, but as a general rule, they are the underdogs. So as much as we see them attempt to try and catch prey, it's very unlikely that they succeed. Now, here in the Mara, during the migration, the kind of scales will be tipped and the predators will have the upper hand simply because there's so much prey that if they just lie down in the grass, something could stumble upon them. But I really do enjoy predator-prey interaction, whether it's wild dog hunting, leopard hunting, lion hunting, crocodiles at the river cams hunting. It's something that I really do like to see because we very seldom get lucky to see that kind of stuff. So some kind of action like that, Paula, would be right up my alley. At least the anticipation of the hunt, that a predator doesn't need to necessarily succeed, but at least to see the thrill and anticipation of the hunt. Okay, so thanks for that. We are going to be sending you back to Tristan.
Well, we've managed to get a little glimpse, and from what I can see, it's difficult from where we are. As you can see, it's just a blur of spots behind the bush, but it looks like little Xongile that is slowly facing in this direction. Hopefully she is going to come north. We know that Hosanna was not far from here, it's very close to where Ali left Hosanna this morning, and so I wonder if the two of them haven't been together. I'm hoping though that she is going to come north. She is facing this direction and she's been slowly moving this way the whole afternoon. But well, at least we've got a little tail flick and we've got some spots in the bush. And I got guinea fowls for Craig earlier, who Craig's very upset because he feels like he was discriminated against because we didn't stop for the guinea fowls. And so we have got the guinea fowls, we've got the elephant swimming, and now we've got our leopard. So we've managed to get everything that we were looking for this afternoon, which is a fantastic way to start the week, that's for sure. Looks like she might start. No, it's going to lie down there now. I was hoping that she was going to get up and move. It looks as though she was going to have a little yawn, and often when they yawn, it is an indication that they will start moving and start getting into a different area, and hopefully she was going to come north. We're not too far from Twin Dams, I would say. Probably we're about from here, about 800 meters to the west of us, and she's about 50 meters south of the road. So if she does decide to move, it won't take long for her to get onto the road, and hopefully we'll then be able to see her. You can see, look at her tail. It's twitching because there's birds in the tree right in front of her. So you can see the branches are moving every now and then, and that's why her tail is twitching, is because she's watching those birds and getting a little bit excited. So even though we can't see her face, watching the tail is the best thing about a leopard. I love watching leopards' tails because they're so expressive. They don't have that tail that just sits flat, much like lions, and will only flick up every now and then for insects and flies, but they will move around when they see things. Lisa, you say, yay, Xongile, it's your favorite leopard. Well, I'm glad that your favorite leopard has been found. Lisa, I think she's a favorite of many out here, the little queen. Well, princess, should I say. She's not the queen yet, but hopefully one day she will be. And she's definitely really impressed a lot with her tenacious ability to have survived. Given that she was so small when Kruger disappeared, must have been very tough for this little leopard to survive, and it's fantastic to see that she is moving around, that she's full, she's fat, and she's actually able to hunt for herself and find the food that she needs. So really cool. Now Scott, I believe, has got something that is a little bit small and might disappear quickly, so let's go across to him.
So we've got some more little predators, and not quite as, well, a lot smaller rather than, Xongile. These are banded mongoose. I'm sure there will be more around. Let me zoom out. They live in big families, unless they've all already skedaddled. No. But at least we got a glimpse of that one. It was foraging through some buffalo dung, looking for some insects that would be processing that dung. And it seems to be the banded mongoose go-to move. I haven't spent much time with them until coming to the Mara, and they are abundant here. And what I've noticed, not sure what happened there. Okay, everything kind of, all the screens went blank, but they seem to be recovering. Let's see if we can go to the mountain cam. It seems to be the only one that is working. No, hold on 1 second. No, it appears that nothing is working in here. So we are going to send you across to Taylor and try and work out what the problem could be.
Well, I did have my most favorite warthog in the entire world, who I have not seen for such a long time. It was such a lovely sighting of him. Remember, I was telling you about our friend that's chased Gwen, the hyena, out of her burrow? Well, we found him, and it's the same warthog that we've had some incredible sightings of, chasing other warthogs around, wallowing in the mud, and he is so funny. And the reason why I can tell him apart from the other warthogs is because of his tusks, and then also because he's missing the tip of hair on the edge of his tail. And he's an old man. You can see he's been through the wars, he's got tattered ears, but he's just got so much character. But he went off. He's moved burrow sites. There's nothing using Gwen's old den at the moment, but he's still living within the vicinity, so that's quite good. So that just means to me that we will get another opportunity to see him at some point. But he's a lovely boy. He puts on such a show as well. He sort of got quite excited when he saw the car and erected all the hair on his mane. It was standing up. It was lovely. It looked like he'd just been to the hairdresser and had his, got some highlights and things done. He was looking in sort of tip-top condition for an old boar. So that was very nice. Now, how exciting is it that you got to see Xongile as well? Very, very cool that you got to see him. Not him, her. It's nice. I actually put a photo on today saying I hope we get to see her. So maybe I put some positive juju out that Tristan benefited from, and that's wonderful. Now there's a roadblock. There's many cars, hence why you're looking off to the side now. We're in a traffic jam of quite a few different cars obviously coming through here, going through the Mulwati dip, stopping to have a chat to the other guides. So I'm probably just going to say a very quick hello to Peter, and then we will be on our way. Hi, how's it going? Right, off he goes. Nice, just gave Peter a high five. We're going to keep going. I'm just going to let Tax carry on in front of me. He's heading for a sundowner off at Twin Dam, so we'll just give him a bit of space so we don't eat his dust. Let's go back across to Scott and see what else he can spot on the dam cam.
Well, I'm honing in on a raft of hippopotamus, and they are beginning to get quite playful. That looked like a mother and its youngster mouthing one another. The youngsters will often use their parents to rest on. They'll perch their chin on their mother's back and that way be able to keep afloat, because they do sink. So where you see them now, they are standing, but the youngsters may not be able to stand as easily as their parents. Cute. Let's see if we can get on these two mouthing here. Ah, awesome. Now, they're being very, very gentle with one another now, but it is important to realize that these beasts can be very, very ferocious, especially to us as humans, if we get in their way. And it's quite an interesting misconception that just about the world over feels that it's the carnivores that everyone's scared of, yet it's not the carnivores that cause the most damage to us as humans, at least in Africa. It's buffalo, elephant, hippopotamus, which are all herbivores, and those are always the critters that I am most, well, not critters, the beasts rather, that I am most cautious of when on foot in Africa. And they're all getting ready for a night out grazing. It's quite a thing here. You can be driving around after dark and come across about 60 or 70 hippos grazing in an open stream. Oh, it looks like one might be going out the river there. Let's see what's happening. That's my zoom in noise, my slow zoom in. Oh, I think we're going to be lucky. We may even get to see it doing its interesting defecating maneuver where they paddle their tail from side to side, sending their dung in all directions. Come on, now would be a great time. We would get a bit of splash from the water as well. It would be very dramatic. Come on, do your poo flinging technique. And they do that so that they can pass a message to all the other hippos. It's like kind of a graffiti artist, I guess, spraying all over the show. And that way, when other hippo move through the area, they'll be able to smell and read into the different pheromones. Look at all of the ones in the foreground there. Hello to Machine Gun. You didn't know that these hippopotamus have blowholes. They've got two, not one, and they are each nostril. So they can close them. They are like vents essentially that can be opened and closed, and they're obviously spraying like that when they open just before they come out the water as they exhale, causing a stream of mist to spray up into the air. What's this guy thinking of doing here? Seems like he's got into a bit of an awkward position. What are your plans? Wouldn't it be nice to know what it's doing? Maybe it's just warming up for an evening out, rolling its shoulders, getting ready for action. Unless, of course, it's trying to possibly mate with another hippo. Maybe. I don't know. Just seems like it's quite preoccupied, like it's looking for something. And when hippos do mate, the females have got the unfortunate situation where they need to be underneath the male, and therefore it's in a bit of a predicament because the male pushing down on them prevents them from coming up to breathe. Of course, I don't think too many hippos drown whilst mating, but it is an interesting scene to behold. I've only ever seen it once, and I was astounded by how the male kept the female under for quite prolonged periods of time. Maybe that was just a unique scenario. Okie dokie. Now light is beginning to fade here. The sun has set behind the Olololo mountain escarpment, which is just up there now that you can see. And I'm hoping a leopard is going to decide to pop out here and be our first visitor on the river cams. But for now, you are in the fortunate position to be able to be transported to another leopard with Tristan.
I hope for your sake you do, Scott. I would love for you to see a leopard. I'm not sure if you found yourself a leopard. I know a few weeks ago you hadn't seen a leopard yet in the Mara, so hopefully one will pop out as you journey homeward bound. Now, our leopard is still sitting ever so still. She's just watching the ongoings of the main road as cars come back and forth, and she's just keeping it very easy. And it's quite funny just how camouflaged she is. Tax came past me, and I said to him, "Can you see the leopard?" And he looked for a while, and he just said, "No, I can't see it." And then eventually I pointed it out to him, and he had a good chuckle at the fact that she's as camouflaged as she is. From this picture, it's quite easy to spot her, but where we're sitting, as well as the light that we've got at the moment, it is very difficult to see her with the naked eye. It's that dingy dusk light, and those spotted pattern just really helps for her to blend in. She almost just looks like a bit of foliage or a log under the tree, and as it's getting darker, I'm battling more and more to actually see her, and it astounds me, the ability of these cameras to be able to pick up these animals and to be able to show them in such sort of bright light, even though there is very little in the way of ambient light from the sun. The sun is set long ago, is way down, and so it's quite dark now. I think we'll have to probably go to our IR in the next sort of 15 minutes or so. I don't think it will last long enough for us to keep it in colour too much longer. Now, I have heard a report of little Hosanna also coming northwest, so he's gone from where Ellies saw him this morning. He went further south into Little Gari, and now he's northwest, almost tracking behind Xongile. Now, Xongile is still sitting very still, so hopefully what we'll find is the two of them will pop out before the end of the drive. And wouldn't it be nice to see the two of them together come out onto the road in front of us and walk towards Tundams and then find them there again tomorrow morning? That's what I would hope for. I would imagine that would be the best plan of action for the next little bit. Morgan, who's 8 years old. Hello, Morgan. You want to know, do the leopards recognize each other from their spot pattern? Well, Morgan, no, they don't. So you'll find with the leopards, they'll recognize each other by the way that they smell, which is very funny, and also the way that they sound. So when they see another leopard, they will make some contact calls, and a lot of the time it's called chuffing, and it basically goes a little bit like this. It goes and that's how they'll talk to each other, and they will be able to recognize each other's voices as well as the way that they smell as to who they are. So they don't need spot patterns to be able to recognize one another. It's more on how they smell and how they sound. It's unlike us that we see. I do think that they probably do recognize with sight individual leopards and can see a difference in a leopard, but I don't think they recognize a leopard that quickly from sight as opposed to being able to smell it or see it. I mean, to smell it or hear it would definitely help them a lot more. Now, there's some francolins that have just made a little bit of a noise on my northern side, which I'm hoping is going to interest little Xongile, and she's going to decide to move northwards towards the main road. There's now also no more cars here, it's just us, so it's a lot quieter, and would hopefully mean that she is going to decide to start coming north. I feel like we might have to play a bit of a patience game with Xongile this morning, or evening, should I say. And she's going to sit there for a little bit longer, and once it really starts to get quite dark, she's going to start moving. I think she's just waiting for that darkness to come out, and then she can start strolling around and start hunting and looking for any signs of food. What I can see from here, and particularly when the camera is quite zoomed in, is that her stomach is not emaciated. It's difficult to see exactly how full she is, but she definitely has a little slight bulge around those leg areas. It's not like it's sunken in, so she must have had a meal recently, which is fantastic news. And I wonder if she'll still be out hunting this afternoon. Hopefully she's going to move, like I say, towards Twin Dams. I know that both of them are moving in this direction, and their normal stop is Twin Dams itself. So first thing tomorrow morning, I think I will come straight down towards Twin Dams and see if I can't find any sign of this little one down there. Now, I believe Scott has made his way to a river, and that's a place where leopards love to lurk. And let's see what he's managed to find.
Yes, I have made my way to another river crossing, and I'm about to share with you a small blunder that I've just made. So I was panning from right to left along the banks here in the hopes that a predator that's been tucked away in these thickets would have decided to have come out now that it's the evening. And I got to this area, and all of a sudden, boom! There's a lion's head in the grass, which I zoomed in drastically, thinking I was very clever. I called Kirsty, and then what kind of looks like the shape of a lion's head had a bird perched on top of it. Now, in all my years, I've never seen a bird perched on top of a lion's head, so I quickly realized that it is a rock. But that is kind of what you're looking for when you're looking for animals out here, is just the silhouettes, a strange shape. And when your imagination and willpower is strong enough, you find yourself twisting and contorting random inanimate objects into whatever you like. A common one that I often make the mistake with is confusing waterbuck with lions. From a distance, a waterbuck can look just like a lion if you are desperate enough. So that's one to be cautious of when you're out on safari. Excuse moi. Okay. Crocodilians still relaxing. They've had a fairly quiet day, but an enjoyable one because some sun came out, which they really would have needed after a cold spell to warm themselves up. Ooh, don't you look happy? Well fed and very, very scary. These animals command more respect than any others by me, and I am very, very cautious of stretches of water where there's even rumors or whisperings of crocodiles inhabiting them. It would not be a fun way to go, to be pulled under whilst frolicking or possibly fishing on the water's edge. Let's see if I can find any more rock-like specimens along the water's edge. And I'm glad to hear that there was a lot of you that also thought it was a lion, not just me. I wouldn't be surprised if James and Steph have also been confused by that same rock. Nothing sneaked in along here that I can see, but a zoom in may reveal more. Hello, Deborah. I'm glad you can relate to me. You are one of the zoomies who control the dam cams, and you say you often also get confused by random creatures. What's that in there? No. That's just a termite mound, it appears, in the long grass. Imagine seeing a pride of lion coming strolling towards us now. It will happen at one point, or many, rather, I'm guessing, in the coming weeks. Marvelous. Well, they are so much fun, these river cams, and I really have enjoyed being up in the studio doing something a little bit different, and I'm also very happy to hear that Taylor has found one of my favorite birds.
The bugs are busy tonight. You can see all the ripples on the water. We're sitting at Treehouse Dam at the moment. Another lovely shot of an upside down marula tree. Very, very pretty. And it is just a beautiful sight out here tonight. There might not be too many animals running around in the areas that I seem to be working. Oh, actually, look at that blacksmith lapwing. If it walks out in the water again, it's just on the right hand side, just down here. It might actually be very pretty because there's a stunning reflection shot. Now it's just walking along the edge of the water. You see how it's going after all the ripples in the water. You can actually see a lot of the little insects sitting on the surface. Oh, that's amazing. Not quite like glass. There's a little bit of a breeze, and I cannot tell you how icy cold it's got all of a sudden this evening. I think we're in for a particularly cold spell too. Tomorrow might be very fresh. Looks like that blacksmith lapwing doesn't even want to get its feet wet in the water, being quite chilly tonight. Now, Paula, you're wondering what would my favorite drive consist of? It's a good one. Well, firstly, beautiful scenery like what we've got at the moment. This is a great way to end a drive. Of course, the lovely colors of the sky, the silhouettes of trees, and sitting at a dam is quite a perfect way to end a drive. But in terms of animals, I like lions. I really do enjoy the lions. That would be nice. A couple of hyena. And of course, even just seeing elephants for 3 hours would be the perfect safari for me. But they're obviously just feeding in other areas at the moment. Ah, okay. So Scott said he likes sort of prey and predator interaction. That's also very nice, of course. I'm up for anything, even just a great bird sighting. There's some terrapins. Animals actually sit for long enough so that you can see them. We've hit the jackpot today, though, with Duiker. Just a moment ago, we had another pair of Duiker quite close to Treehouse Dam, but they ducked into the bushes, unfortunately. But I can't tell you how many Duiker we've actually seen today. So it seems as though Tingana is still walking around in Torchwood. We'll have to keep an ear out for him, so listen up carefully on the dam cam this evening. You might hear him coming this way, which will be exciting, and hopefully he'll be on the property for the sunrise safari. That is actually so pretty. I can't get enough of that. But let's carry on. Let's go and see what else we can find. Quite a few birds chirping. I haven't heard any owls yet. Maybe it's too early for them still. But no pearl-spotteds giving their last call. Not even a fork-tailed drongo mimicking a pearl-spotted owlet today. Scops, burrows, or even a spotted eagle owl would be quite nice for this evening. Actually, an African wood owl would be the best. Haven't seen one in a very long time. But we'll keep searching for the critters of the night. Let's go back to Tristan and Xongile, who's changed colour. She's now in black and white.
Well, unfortunately, there goes Xongile. That's the last I think we're going to see of her as she disappears. Hosana is not even 200 meters to our southwest and is down this riverbed system. And I don't think I'm going to be able to keep up with Xongile in terms of watching her from where we are, because it just gets so dense here that it's impossible to see her unless she comes through this thicket. So I'll wait a little bit to see if she's not going to cross over in the road in front of us, but I don't think so. But Hosana is not far away as well, and she's heading straight to where Hosana is. I can hear the vehicles driving around where Hosana is, and I'm hoping that maybe the two of them meet up and slowly come northwards. But what I want to do is, I see she's just come past us, so I want to just go forward a little bit. There's another section where we can see quite nicely, and hopefully I'll be able to re-find her with the spotlight, if I can find the spotlight. Where are you, spotlight? There you are. Let's see, there she is there. I can see her. I just only can see her barely with the light at this stage, so I want to just go forward slightly and park here, because this is a good place to look across and to see what's going on. So if she comes down through a certain section here, we're going to be in the pound seat, so to speak. We should be able to see her quite nicely. But while we're sitting here, I thought, well, might as well have a think about my perfect drive. Now, I've spoken about this once before, but for me, this afternoon has pretty much been as good as I would want it to be. I've had all of my favorite things. I've seen birds, I've seen raptors, I've seen elephants swimming, and I've seen spots in the form of leopards. So those are all my favorite things. But an ideal drive would probably consist of Ellies swimming like we saw, a big herd, lots of young ones and adults and big bull elephants all together. That would probably be the most ideal thing. That followed up by leopard in a tree with the moonrise or a beautiful sunset behind it, or sunrise if we're in the morning time. I think wild dogs would make an appearance in there, and I've said it before, a pangolin to round things all off. So that would be typically a good drive for me, and so hopefully we'll have something like that. This afternoon has been pretty good though. I mean, we had an incredible sighting of that hornbill eating the scorpion, the fish eagle being dive bombed by the lapwings, the elephant swimming, and like I say, now little Xongile. I just want to scan around with my light one more time just to see. I don't see any sign of her at the moment. I want to ask the guys if Hosana is still mobile. Davi. Xongile is mobile now, straight west, looks like maybe southwest. Is Hosana mobile? Okay, copy, thanks. So, it sounds that Hosana is mobile, slowly northwards, but he's going up towards the Mulawati. So, Xongile needs to cross a little bit of ground first before she meets up with him, but I don't think she'll be too far behind what's going on. I did see her eyes shine just now, a little bit further back. I could just see her eyes slowly drifting down, and I thought maybe she might pop out into an open clearing section that we have here. Unfortunately, it's not the case. So I'm going to spend a little bit longer and just see. We are running out of time, unfortunately, but hopefully one of them does pop out where we can actually see them a little bit clearer than what we saw just now when she disappeared behind the foliage. And this is the difficult thing. It's sometimes hard when you know a leopard is not even 20 meters away from you, but you're stuck just because of a road and, well, a divide that is on a map. So hopefully one day we will be able to go to what is called the magical Little Gowrie, and I'll be able to show you all the things that are there. I did drive Little Gowrie quite extensively when I was at Chitwa. It was part of our traverse and at Simambili, so I spent a lot of time on Little Gowrie and know it very well. And I know that where she's walking now, she's going to head down a little bit towards the Mulawati, and it takes her away from the road a bit before she'll actually come closer, which is a little bit of a difficult thing because it makes our life a little bit harder. Now I'm just trying to reverse back just to see if I can't see her eyes reflecting and see if she's stationary or if she's moved. Maybe she's moved a lot past where I am and I'm just sitting here waiting for nothing. Now this is the last place I thought I saw her, and I can't see any sign of her now. So while I try and see if I can't find her again, let's go back to Scott. And I believe Scott has got also one of my favorite birds that often does some very interesting things in the water.
Well, thanks Tristan for the longest link ever. We have been waiting with, yes, one of my favorite birds, the yellow-billed stork, and any bird hunting in the water captures my attention. Because just imagine how tricky it is and how quick their reflexes have to be able to clamp down onto prey. Now I'm going to suggest we switch over to another camera with a busier hunting stork. Same species, but obviously slightly more hungry. And they are hoping to catch fish by very delicately waving their beak through the water like that. If they detect the slightest of movements, they'll clamp down. I did see one catch a fish just moments before we went live a little bit earlier, and isn't it therapy just watching them slowly caress the water with their beak in the hopes of finding some dinner. Another bird that I'd really love to watch you humping with a little bit more viewings of the hammerkop hunting, because they actually use their toes to assist them to detect any prey that may be passing by. Oh, there's a big crocodile's tail in the bottom left of the screen now. There we go. Let me zoom out a bit to give you guys a bit of perspective. Ginormous crocodile. And this yellow-billed stork is trying to get in a last little snack before it's bedtime, which it will be soon. The sun has set behind the mountain and light. Oh! Did you see that fish? Oh, wrong way. You see, when I get excited, then it all falls apart with my camera work. There was a large splash there which caught the bird's attention. You saw it kind of almost got a bit of a fright, and now it's going in to see if it can snap down on whatever that was. Possibly a little catfish, who knows? Actually, none of us are too certain of what species of fish occur in the Mara River. Not too many textbooks on that, but it's something we will get to work out. with a few slow motion replays of these birds' successful hunts, we'll slowly be able to piece together the puzzle. How cool are these cameras? Hello, Mr. P. You wondering if the hummerkorps are better hunters than these? And I wouldn't actually be able to categorically state yes or no, but my gut feeling is yes. I think the hummerkop is a more successful hunter because it's clever enough to incorporate its toes together with its beak when looking for prey, whereas these guys just rely on their beak. It would be an interesting study to do. I doubt that there's any concisive research on such a fact, but it would be something interesting to search for on the internet machine. Come on, catch us a fish. Well, you see, now, I spoke too soon. I mean, there we did see it did use its feet and toes to try and shuffle through the sediment to possibly encourage some prey to swim off, thus giving away their presence. But I have watched these guys quite a bit, and they don't seem to have nearly as good a strike rate as the hummerkorps. Maybe the hummerkorps are also slightly more clever in that they often pick small drying up ponds where their prey is very concentrated. There it's using its toe again, so some misinformation from me there. They do use their toes, just not as readily as the hummerkorp does. Ooh, this is looking like a very good spot to go fishing. KJ, you're interested to know if James is very protective over his studio as he is his tent. And yes, I think it would be fair to say that he's fairly protective of it. He's got quite an elaborate sign outside the door saying no shoes in many different languages and different colorful expressions. He likes to keep it nice and clean and homely in here, and it is a wonderful place that he's created. He's done most of the interior decorating. You'll be possibly surprised and pleased to know about. And I think he's done a great job. It looks absolutely beautiful in here, and it's a wonderful place for him to do. Oh, that was cool. Got a bit of a fright. For him to do his business, and also enjoyable for us to mix it up and come up here and see what it's like. It does take a bit of getting used to the control room. I'm a lot more comfortable behind the wheel of a vehicle, but really do enjoy the angles and insights that these river cams provide us, and the fact that you can just chop and change between 4 different cameras as you please. Okay, well, it's been absolutely wonderful to have you guys with us in the Masai Mara from one of the 4 river cams, or the mountain cam, or the little camera that's balanced on a pile of books. That's on me now. Thanks again for joining in. We look forward to the next safaris with you. I'm going to say goodbye now and leave Tristan and Taylor to finish off the safari with you. Who knows what they could find.
It is a slither of a moon, isn't it, Scott? Whenever it is a waxing crescent just like it is at the moment, I always think of the Cheshire smile. And I wish we could add some eyes, don't you think, to this moon? And it would be quite beautiful. But have a look at the skyline. It's absolutely stunning. The colors, the oranges, the blues, the yellows. This has to be perhaps my favorite colors that you see in the sky. Well, it's been a fantastic afternoon. I think we've been, well, fortunate to see so many different animals, and not just here in South Africa, of course, but also all the way in Kenya. With Scott, how fantastic has it been? I think it's been absolutely amazing. But let's carry on. Maybe we get lucky and we see something, if I can get the car to start. But thank you all again. I'm not going anywhere. We'll see you all. Remember, join us on the sunrise safari, and who knows what critters of the night will be here waiting.